Good morning. We don't have a big crowd, but even it's small, get nervous, right? I do anyway. When Bob asked me to give the sermon, May 10th, I had not thinking Mother's Day. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a tall order. But I just came back from kind of a whirlwind trip up to Connecticut to see our youngest daughter. And, the reason that I'm a mother is because of my kids. The reason that anybody is a father is because of their kids. We're parents because we have children. And that is really an amazing opportunity. So, yes, Mother's Day. And to give honor to all mothers, and in particular, the founder of our movement, Mother Moon. A couple years ago, you might remember, Sanjanim, one of the, I feel like I'm explaining things to you. Is that okay if I do that? She did a fundraiser. I think she was starting a nonprofit. I can't remember the exact reasons, but she did an online auction. Some of you guys remember that. And this jacket was auctioned off. This belonged to True Mother. And one of my friends, won the auction. And then she gave me this jacket and the scarf. And I was thinking, when would I ever, what do you do with that? You put it in an eternal museum, you put it in the glass case and you don't touch it again. And then I thought, well, no, maybe sometimes I could wear that, So then I thought, okay, today is a great day to wear this jacket, and the scarf also came. So anyway, this is a tribute to the founder of our movement, Mother Moon, together with our precious Father, Holy Father, Moon, yes. So this morning, this topic, courage to dream. Because ever since we've been understanding more and more, Damien Dunkley in particular has been taught in explaining the dream. Heavenly Parent, the creator of our universe, had an amazing dream. And that really captured my heart, because I think for a long time, I didn't have the feeling that I could dream. That we just seemed that trying to survive in life was taking up all my energy. And to be able to dream was like, wow, who can dream of their hopes and their ideals? That's an amazing opportunity. So I began to explore dream. And then Walt Disney popped out. And the quote from Walt Disney, all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And I thought, absolutely, that is so true. And for some of the older folks in here who grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, for us, in my family growing up, when it was Sunday evening, we would turn on the TV at 8 o'clock at night and Disney World would come on, right? And Walt Disney was the narrator. And he brought us into this ideal world every single week. That the castle and the fireworks and all of the stories that were presented on that Disney show were about pioneers and dreamers with great visions like Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. And it was really like a little piece of heaven that we got an insight to, each and every week. And that image of a dream is still alive in so many people who really do hope and dream for an ideal world, for the ideal. So I did a little bit more research about courage. What is it? Why do we need courage? So I was thinking, as an experiment, who thinks that they're a courageous person? Val thinks she's courageous. I was going to say, if you want to close your eyes and we could vote, but, just think about it. Do you think you're a courageous person? Val thinks she's a courageous. God bless you, Val. Amen. She's willing to say she's a courageous person. That's amazing. if I ask myself, I wouldn't necessarily think that I'm a courageous person. I'm kind of held back in many ways. Maybe it doesn't seem that way to other people, but I feel I'm not really such a courageous person. But this quote from, not Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin, FDR. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. And he was also the one who said, the only thing to fear is fear itself. I think he said that one too. But courage is often a deliberate assessment of a trigger and an analyzed decision on how to proceed toward a noble purpose in the face of personal risks. So I, have been wondering, is courage, it's not wrong if you're not courageous. It's not a sin if you're not a courageous person. And I wouldn't even say to have courage is a virtue, really. It's kind of an attribute. If you're a courageous person, that's a cool thing, and we admire many courageous people. There are so many courageous people in history. Joan of Arc, I think you could call her courageous. Yugonsun, that 16-year-old patriot, she must have been an amazingly courageous person. Oh, there's so many. I mean, Martin Luther King was courageous, and so on and so on. People who stood up against all odds and were willing to put themselves on the line to face what they believed in was morally good and true. So I think it's something that we need to aspire to, even in a small way, to try to pursue being a little bit more courageous. So again, I did a little bit more research. What is a courageous person? There's 6 different types of courage. There's physical courage, where you go against physical pain and danger or threat of death, such as example, we would say firefighters. Firefighters are courageous people, typically. First responders, they run towards the problem instead of running away and seeking shelter, right? Moral courage, doing the right thing in spite of opposition, shame, or scandal. So I would consider perhaps Yoon Gun-sun, somebody like that, or especially, Jesus Christ. Later there's quotes, but anyway, yes, people who face the moral opposition. Emotional courage, opening oneself to a full spectrum of emotions, including vulnerability. Now that's a real challenge, if you think about it. To become vulnerable, to allow yourself to be kind of innocent or naive, allow yourself to new ideas, new concepts, that takes courage. You have to have a certain moral fiber to allow that in your life, to be vulnerable. Social courage, being yourself in the face of potential social exclusion or embarrassment. I think that's not easy, A lot of us are what they call people pleasers. You're always thinking, what is she going to think? What is he going to think? Am I going to cause waves if I say this or do this? Or, that's not an easy thing. Intellectual courage, challenging your own beliefs and learning and unlearning. Again, when the homeschooling concept came into more and more prominence, I heard a familiar expression that people were saying you had to kind of unlearn, like all the different ways of going to school and what the teachers expected you. If you're in a homeschool environment, you kind of like, let's throw the 9 to 3 kind of schedule out the window and just life is a learning experience. Wow, that's something new, something different to challenge. And spiritual courage, facing pain with faith on pursuing our purpose. So as faithful people, I think this is highlight. Am I willing to, for the sake of my faith, face different obstacles? That's a, serious challenge, not easy to do. So the etymology of the word courage is from Latin, originally from French, cur, from the heart. Courage from the heart. So if you're a courageous person, it's not just from your head and not just from your body, but real courage comes from heart, from your emotional expression. That's where courage comes from. So our precious Holy Mother Moon on the cover of her book, my lifelong goal and determination is to fulfill the dream of God. Our Heavenly Parent longs to live together with all of us as generations of good and loving people, forming the Heavenly Parent's holy community, one family under God. I'm determined to bring that dream into reality during my remaining years, and I invite all of my readers to join me in this historic task. So it's an invitation, and to participate in that dream, not as someone who sits on the sidelines or just appreciates the situation, but is really willing to actively engage. The next quote from the book of Mark talks about Jesus Christ himself. And this takes into account the clear, very, very clear understanding that he knew who he was and his parent, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, God, and that his total being was in their hands. So when he is walking into Jerusalem the day before, I think this must have been when he's going into Jerusalem, he's going on the Palm Sunday, right? And he's at first very much welcomed by the Israeli people, but he knew what was going to happen. And he was fully confident and not afraid to even express to his disciples. They were on the road going to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. And they were amazed. And those who followed were afraid. And taking the 12 again, he began to tell them what was going to happen to him. And he said, see, we're going to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man, I get emotional, guys, sorry about that. And the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him over to the Gentiles. And they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. So he's telling this to his disciples as they're walking into Jerusalem. And all the crowds are there, and they're laying down the palms, and it seems like everything is, but the disciples can probably pick up on, what's happening in the air. And he's able to just calmly express to them and tell them very clearly, this is who I am, the Son of Man. I'm going to be betrayed. Sorry about that, for my own emotion coming up. And the conclusion is I'll be, the 39 floggings and the crown of thorns, the crucifixion, everything that he endured, he knew was going to happen. And with confidence and with amazing amount of love, he was able to explain to his disciples, okay, this is the situation. It is beyond our imagination, really and truly. But when I think of the courage, because Jesus didn't, I can't imagine. I'm thinking that it would take 2,000 years after his crucifixion that his dream could begin to be realized, or even more. He had a dream. He wanted to fulfill a purpose in his lifetime, and it was not able to be accomplished. But it didn't stop him from believing or dreaming and having that courage to be who he was and to stand up in that opportunity. It's amazing. So again, I believe that this is what we're called to do, to stand up with courage, no matter what is coming down the pike. We have no idea. But if we just continue being who we are, believing in what we believe, and going forward. So, with that being said, the next 3 slides, I'm being courageous here. Oh man, turn off the waterworks, please. I started to write some poetry. I hope you like it. Sorry. Okay, first one. Oh, man. Could you read it, Mark?
All right, emerging from the shadow. Mysterious delight, warmth, and comfort are beyond recognition. How could such grace be mortalized? Awestruck and bewildered, I can only attempt to breathe the depth of true love that emerges as our Holy Mother Han manifests Mother. May I introduce myself? Respectfully, humbly, and with sincerity, I want to rush forward to embrace, still, with trepidation in my heart, hesitates because I never knew you in the shadow. Yet, the essence is familiar because it's you, Mother. Traversing the valleys of despair and loneliness, comfort and healing surface is the resolve, only with you, Mother.
Maybe it's corny, I don't know, but I thought I'm going to put that out there. Here's the second one. The principle of pain. I'll try to do this one. I think. Where does the pain go? Maybe Mark, step in, please.
Broken hearts from broken trust. Wanting to be held, safe, and loved, the principle of pain, shadows of the cross, shading true hearts and minds. Soul darkened by unresolved grief, where does it go? Into clouds that eventually dissipate, like tears falling from above? Is it lost or fertilized a new creation? Turn over embedded stones in my heart, encrust latent soil, like the lifeless cadaver, there it is, life, teeming with renewed vibrance, a heartbeat, a deep sigh, rebirth.
Anyway, that's the number 2. And number 3. I will try this one. This one I wrote was the first one. I went to a workshop in Las Vegas and we were asked to write a letter to True Mother. And I couldn't think of anything except write this. So, garden of love in my heart. Aching, shaking, breaking. My heart is shattered like fine glass. The slivers are more tiny than the eye can see. Hidden truth reveals the ailing welts, waiting for a healing balm. Devastation, visible when a faint light by chance lands too light a glimmer. Holy Mother Han, can you gather my heart in love? Heal the broken shards that can only be mended with tender love? Om Anim, light of hope and love. Please, my mother, set a fire that allows the mysteries of pain hidden so deeply, buried in the anguish of unwritten history, reveal the lovely garden of your precious heart in me. Anyway, so in conclusion, because this is all about courage, and that took some of my courage to express that, I think the most courageous person that we're all very familiar with, most of us anyway, is our precious Father, True Father. And from the speech, Return to Tears, True Father says, by focusing entirely on loving God, fear loses its power as one's priority shifts from self-preservation to serving a higher eternal purpose, which is exactly what it's all about. You forget yourself, you have to forget yourself, and you have to step out of your concepts and your emotional realities and your scheduled way of thinking to live for the sake of other people, to give yourself up for a higher purpose. And this was one out of a bazillion that you can find where this is, what Father's teaching and taught us from the very beginning is living for the sake of stepping out of yourself and fulfilling God's dream, not just your dream, but Heavenly Parents' dream of the ideal world. That's it. Thank you. So I guess our Join me in prayer. Thank you. Our precious, precious Heavenly Parents and our true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind, thank you so much that we can gather here, our small community, but we have an amazing opportunity. And when we think of the treasures of heart that we have in relationship to you and to our true parents, it's unbelievable. We are in such an incredibly huge debt of gratitude that we owe, Heavenly Parents, to you and to our precious true parents, and of course to your beloved Son, Jesus Christ, who laid the very groundwork through his living sacrifice for the sake of all humanity. Thank you so much that we could be here today. Let's celebrate parenthood today, not just mothers, but parents. Anyway, mothers too. Anyway, thank you, and I want to report this prayer gratefully as Ann Nilsson, attending Holy Mother Han Jew.